God is good, and with each day that passes brings us a day closer to the launch of Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. This is the NAPALM channel, and if you are new here, please consider subscribing, especially if you're interested in Pantheon related content on our march to launch. Today, guys, I want to talk a little bit about text chat versus voice chat in various different ways. First of all, I do agree that back before our internet capabilities could really handle voice chat, and there's people who have argued and said that voice chat has been around forever, even at the dawn of Ultima Online or EverQuest. I'm going to have to argue with that. I'm not saying that there was no option for voice chat back then, but nobody used it. Let's just be honest. Maybe you were in a very small group of people that used it, but it did come around fairly quickly. And the first one I remember was Murmur, I think it was called, and people started using. But it did change. It changed the way that we, as MMO players, played the game. First of all, now it was expected that you had voice chat. If you wanted to raid or do any kind of difficult content, it was kind of expected that you knew that you had a voice chat microphone and all that kind of thing so you could play. And there's always been issues with that. You know, a lot of people, number one, play their MMO when they have free time. And for a lot of people, their free time is when their spouse is asleep. You know, that's when they get to sneak away and go play their MMO for a few hours before they crash. And depending on their setup, depending on various factors, it might be a little hard to be screaming into your mic in a raid, you know, we need DPS, I need heals, and you know, it gets loud. And maybe that's just not possible if your significant other is close by or in a room next door, etc. So there's always been that issue. But that's not all. There's also what about the actual experience of playing a video game, right? So if I'm playing a single player game, put my headphones on, I'm jacked in, I hear every sound effect, I hear the music, I learn it by heart. You can play a piece of that music and I can tell you what game it came from. And, you know, I'm in the game. It's part of the immersiveness, right? It's part of what makes you get into the world and feel the world and enjoy it the way the developers intended. You know what I mean? So in an MMO, when you got voice chat on, you're really not hearing a lot of the music. You're really not enjoying the sound effects in the same way. And I'm sure you've all experienced this. So you're playing your MMO of choice, you run the new dungeon that just got patched in the game or the expansion or whatever, and you're running with your friends, and you're voice chatting it up, and you're talking, you're having a good time, and that's fun, you're having a great time. But later you run it solo, or with a group of people who aren't in voice chat with you. And then suddenly, you start to notice things you didn't notice before, and sometimes even visual things. You were just so caught up in the conversation, which isn't a bad thing, but you're so caught up in it that you actually missed things in the game. Animations, or pockets of the dungeon that you didn't notice before, or definitely the audio. So I think voice chat does, in a way, give us a handicap on enjoying the game in some ways. Now let's talk a little bit about the good things, though. Of course, communication. You know, typing out every command or calling out what comes next in a fight. I mean, you could macro it. Someone just be dropping the macros at the right time. Sure, you could do that. But it's more simple in the communication back and forth, because if you yell out a command like heal the tank, right? Or a better example would be the healer is running out of mana, then they need to communicate that with the party, with the tank, so he slows down on the pulls, or so he uses some of his cooldowns, or whatever situation may be, to survive a little bit longer. And, you know, sometimes in the heat of battle, it's kind of hard to reach up and type out what you need to type, and so, you know, we have all kinds of acronyms and things that we use to communicate faster, sure, but typing takes a lot longer than you're still playing the game and you can just open your mouth and talk. So communication is the best with voice chat. I mean, it really is. Now, Pantheon Rise of the Fallen, Visionary Realms has said that the game is going to have built-in voice chat, which is cool. Here's the thing, though. I don't think a lot of people will use the in-game voice chat, and the reason being is Discord. Everybody uses Discord, and that's where their friends already are. That's the server. They're on the server with their guild already. I just don't think the built-in system or the built-in voice chat is going to be used very much. I feel like it's going to be turned off a lot. I was reading a older post about voice chat and text chat and all that kind of thing, and I found a person who brought up a really cool idea, and that was, what if, to make the voice chat a little bit more enticing so people actually used it, what if they did a thing where the races had specific kind of like different voice packs, or like you know, things like that, to where basically depending on your race that you picked, or even things like your alignment in the game, how much points you had into intelligence, etc., it kind of changed and varied that voice pack to what your character, you know, to change your actual voice to sound like what the developers think that character who was aligned really good, very intelligent, kind of wizard talk. You know what I mean? Do you see where I'm going with that? So, not my idea. I definitely read that in a forum, but really cool idea. I think a lot of people would be more willing to give it a shot if that's the way it was, because that's the other problem, in my opinion, with voice chat that we talked about earlier, is the immersion factor. But not just because you can't hear the music and you can't hear the sound effects, but also because it just takes you out of the game. It's like, I'm not some big role player or anything, but I mean, I like to pretend like that my friend Minus, who's playing a rogue, I like to, when I'm playing the game, that he actually is a rogue. You know, like that's who he is. You know what I mean? And when we hang out outside the game, because I had a lot of friends, we played MMOs together, and I knew them before the MMO, but when we were playing the game, they were that. Do you see where I'm going with this? And when you're just talking with your friend on the headset, or what have you, it breaks that immersion. It breaks that, because it's just that person playing that character at that point, and it's not the character being played by the person you know. Do you see what I mean? I hope you understand, but that would definitely make it cooler, and I think it's a great idea. And if I'm not mistaken, there was a really old MMO that never came out. I do not remember the name, but it was supposed to come out on the original Xbox, and it didn't. And I'm pretty sure they talked about something to that effect, like different races would have different voice packs. And I guess the final point I want to make about text chat versus voice chat is, like we said before, you do get that easier communication with voice chat, but with text chat, especially in a game with downtime, we would have more communication, because a lot of people who aren't comfortable with their voice, who aren't comfortable with their accent, or they don't want people to know that they're a male or a female, or I don't know, I'm making stuff up, but there are people who don't feel comfortable talking to strangers. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's the actual, I don't know. But there are a lot of people who will join the chat, but they won't talk. Or they won't talk much. And it's just because they don't want to. They don't feel comfortable. Now, if we were all talking in text, and almost nobody is too embarrassed to type, right? You know, type is type. Maybe if they have like terrible spelling, they might be too, you know what I mean? Like, we're getting into a much smaller group of people than people who don't like to talk or put their voice out there, or maybe they just can't censor themselves if they're just talking, you know, and they don't want to give out private information by accident, or say something that would make people mad at them. You know, when you're typing, you kind of have time to censor yourself or think about what you're saying and kind of like proofread it before you send it out to the world. I have an internal censor in my brain where actually my brain is saying something ahead of the time that it's coming out of my mouth, and I'm actually censoring it before I say it. But I do know there's a lot of people who can't do that. So that's another factor, is just, you know, we're getting less communication, sort of, in a way, by demanding or only using voice chat services, if that makes any sense. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the video today. I hope it made any kind of sense. I thought it was an interesting topic, and it's certainly something that a lot of people have contended with. We do know for raids and things like that, voice chat is almost mandatory, but it's also become a point where it's just like we just voice chat, period. And I get it. I understand why. But there was something awesome and immersive and unique and almost reclusive. Almost like you were interacting with the world without getting too involved back in the text-only communication days. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, though. Join me. Don't forget now, guys, that every Monday, my new series that I do with Minus from Pantheon Plus comes out every Monday. And what we do is we talk about older games and moments from those games. Our reactions, we react to those moments and tell our story of what was going on in the world or what we were thinking. And we kind of just tell how different gaming was from that time period, and we break down a game like that every Monday. I already have one episode up. Go check it out. I'll put it out. I'll put it here for you to watch somewhere, so you can get a link to go see that video. The first one we did was Resident Evil, and coming up next Monday we got another game. We're going to do Super Mario World for the Super Nintendo. Join us on that, guys. I'm really excited about that series. It's called Uphill Both Ways. And the other cool thing, the kind of both ways part of that, is that I do my video, he does his video. They're on the same topic. It was actually the same recording, but I don't watch his and he doesn't watch mine, and we edit them completely different, so you guys get to see, because we'll record for an hour to 2 hours, and then we'll only make like a 10 to 15 minute clip for the video, so you guys get to see more content. You get to see my side of the content, what I thought was cool out of the video, and you get to see what Minus on Pantheon Plus thought was cool. It's awesome. And also every Tuesday night for a while now, we're going to be streaming EverQuest. So join us on YouTube on the Pantheon Plus channel. Subscribe if you haven't already, because I'm just kind of going into his stream and streaming EverQuest Tuesday nights with him. We're having a blast. And guys, until next time, God bless and happy gaming.
Please listen to what I say. I've been making videos all day. My friends all say I'm it's a video buffet. You can even hit replay. But please just subscribe. I can't even describe being part of my tribe. I'll even offer you a prize. But please just subscribe and hit the bell notification too.